The RCMP are providing an update on their investigation into the imploded Titan submersible. Let's listen live.
Probably intersect for a certain amount, and we expect full cooperation between all agencies.
Do you investigate all deaths offshore, or is there something particular about this incident?
We investigate all deaths offshore that are reportable deaths. So it's difficult to sort of get into, but certain deaths are reportable and others are not. But deaths where people go missing offshore, where there's a death that requires investigation offshore, yes, the RCMP assumes those investigations.
Is there any suspicion of any criminal activity at the moment?
There's no suspicion of criminal activity per se, but the RCMP is taking initial steps to assess whether or not we will go down that road eventually.
Negligence quality of person.
Well, criminal negligence would, civil negligence would not. So that would be something that, if the facts warranted that we would assume an investigation towards that end, yes.
So can you just a little bit delineate what your mandate is? You said every agency has a mandate. What is it?
Well, the Transportation Safety Board, for example, is just that. It's safety. The RCMP investigates deaths that are of an unusual nature that need investigation. So ours would be to investigate the circumstances surrounding the deaths to determine if we should actually embark on a criminal investigation.
How long did that take?
Well, we had a team down at the waterfront this morning, and the investigation is going to be complex. We're going to have to rely on subject matter experts, and there's going to be significant interviewing, so I'm really reluctant to put a timeline on it right now.
A lot of us were up early thinking it was coming in earlier. Should I assume that your investigators were waiting for the ship to come in?
I'm not sure if they were waiting, but they were down there early, I can tell you that, yeah.
So
Sir.
there were family members aboard that vessel. Had your people made contact and spoken with them initially?
I don't want to speak to who was on the vessel and who specifically we've spoken to, but we have conducted some interviews there today, yes.
And a quick follow-up, how long do you expect this investigation?
Oh, it's too early to tell. It's going to be a complex investigation. There's going to be some heavy lifting. It's going to take some time.
Sir,
Yes.
what will you be looking at in this investigation? What sets you apart from the other agencies?
Well, the RCMP has nothing to do with the regulations, vessel certification, transportation safety, any of that. Our mandate is to look at the deaths and determine if anything contributed to their deaths that may lead us down a criminal path. Is that clear? Thanks.
I guess I would ask, we're trying to understand if you are conducting an investigation in order to determine whether a criminal investigation is to follow. What is it that you're looking for in the first place in order for that criminal investigation to take place?
So that's a good question. So 90% of the time, or even greater, when the RCMP responds to any kind of call for service, we already know that a criminal matter has occurred. Now we're investigating the what, who, why, and where. But in certain instances, we have an event, and we don't know if a criminal matter occurred, so we take preliminary investigative steps to determine if any of the elements of the offenses that might apply exist, and then we will make a determination on a path forward. Does that make sense?
Yes. Can you provide an example of what may lead you to that conclusion?
Well, I don't want to speculate on anything like that, but if we get into, if our inquiries lead us to believe that certain actions were taken or not taken, that to this gentleman's question may have been negligent, or what we believe we need to investigate that they could have been negligent, and that's, I don't want anybody to think that that's what we're saying, but that would be an example of that.
And that applies to the crew aboard the Fuller Prince, as well as any other private citizen that may have been aboard the ship?
The investigation will be all-encompassing. We're going to look at all that, yes.
Sir, what sets this investigation apart? Is this anything you've ever, I know you have a vast history, but what sets this one apart?
I'm not sure I understand your question exactly.
How unique is this situation?
Well, I've been doing police work for 33 years. This is a very unique circumstance, partly because of the jurisdictional issues, partly because, of the prolonged uncertainty The specifics and the expertise that went into the vessel, the voyage, all that needs to be understood by us. So it's a very unique circumstance.
Well, if there are no other questions, maybe we want to take another minute if there are any further ones. Yeah, I guess with respect to the jurisdictional issues, if you found that there was a criminal case, say, there was a criminal case against, say, the owners of the Titan was warranted, would that be prosecuted in Canada, or would you send that to authorities in the United States?
I would be reticent to speculate on that right now because there's so many outcomes that could occur. One of which is that we're not going to do a full investigation. So I really don't want to speculate on that. The jurisdictional issues, they're complex on the high seas, so it would be something that we would have to sort out as we went.
Is the lack of any sort of bodies in this scenario a challenge to you in your preliminary investigation?
I guess in terms of any investigation, the more evidence you have, then the better your investigation will be, or I guess less complicated. So in that sense, yes, that's unfortunate, but at the same time, that really is the outcome. We're investigating what led up to that. So it will be less of a hindrance in this case, I think, than most.
Thank you all so much for coming.
Thank you.
Okay, we've been listening to the RCMP providing an update on their investigation into the imploded Titan submersible.